Imagine the scene in high definition. There's still a good 15 or 20 minutes left before a high-stakes business meeting, a first date that's been on your mind all week, or even just a casual brunch with friends. The location, perhaps a quiet corner cafe, is still in its morning lull. The staff are lazily wiping down the mahogany tables, the espresso machine is just beginning to hiss, and the chairs are mostly empty, save for one person. That person is sitting perfectly upright, perhaps sipping a glass of room-temperature water, occasionally glancing at a notebook or scrolling through their phone with a calm that seems almost artificial. This is the chronic early bird, a person for whom the concept of on time is a source of profound discomfort, because in their mental architecture, arriving at the exact minute of an appointment is synonymous with a catastrophic failure. If you are this person, you know that specific, restless, almost vibrating itch that begins to crawl under your skin the moment you realize you might arrive at your destination with only 60 seconds to spare. Your brain simply refuses to process a just-in-time arrival as a safe or viable option. It views the lack of a temporal cushion as a walk on a tightrope without a net. To the outside world, you are the gold standard of professional reliability, the person whose calendar is a masterpiece of punctuality and whose word is a bond. You are constantly praised for your iron discipline and your deep respect for the time of others, which is seen as a rare virtue in an era of digital distractions and chronic lateness. But let's be brutally honest with ourselves here at Thinking 2.0, does this habit actually feel like a pleasant, virtuous choice made from a position of strength? Or is there something much more frantic, a silent and invisible dictatorship of anxiety, lurking behind that polished, composed facade of punctuality? Today, we're going to peel back the heavy layers of the early arriver's psychology and finally answer the question that keeps you standing in cold hallways 10 minutes before the door opens. Is this a superpower of discipline, or is it the quiet tyranny of your fear? From a purely social and professional perspective, your habit of arriving early looks like the absolute zenith of personal efficiency and executive function. We live in a society that fetishizes productivity, and punctuality is the currency of that world. When you show up early, your boss sees a dedicated professional, your clients see a reliable partner, and your friends see someone who truly values their presence. This behavior is often a hallmark of high conscientiousness, one of the core pillars of the Big Five personality traits. For a highly disciplined person, time isn't just a measurement, it's a finite, non-renewable resource that must be managed with the precision of a Swiss watch. Arriving ahead of schedule is a way of broadcasting your status as a high-value individual who is in total control of their environment. It's a silent, powerful message that says, I have mastered my own life to such an extent that I can account for traffic, weather, and unforeseen delays, and still honor our agreement. Beyond the optics, those 15 minutes provide you with a massive, unquantifiable tactical advantage. You get to inhabit the space before anyone else does. You choose the best seat, you adjust to the lighting, you take off your coat and settle your breathing. By the time the other person arrives, you aren't the one reacting to the environment, you are the environment. You enter the interaction not as someone who just survived a frantic commute, panting and checking their watch, but as a person who is centered, collected, and ready to lead. It looks like the ultimate strategy for social dominance and mental clarity, a perfectly optimized algorithm for human interaction that you've honed to perfection over years of practice, and the world is more than happy to applaud you for it. However, if we dare to dig beneath the surface of this efficient algorithm, we often find a much more complex and perhaps more troubling motivation. If we are being completely vulnerable, we have to admit that for many chronic early birds, those 15 minutes are not an optional bonus or a relaxing head start. They are a rigid, non-negotiable psychological necessity driven by a deep-seated, underlying anxiety. Let's conduct a visceral thought experiment. Imagine you are leaving your house for a very important event, and you suddenly realize that due to an unexpected road closure, you are going to arrive at exactly 7 p.m., the exact time you agreed upon. You won't be late by a single second, but you also won't have your 15-minute buffer. What is the immediate physical sensation in your chest? If a cold wave of panic washes over you, if your palms begin to sweat against the steering wheel, and if your mind starts playing a high-resolution horror movie of the other person looking at their watch with a face full of disappointment and judgment, then your punctuality is not fueled by discipline, it is fueled by catastrophizing. Your brain has lost the ability to process the middle ground of uncertainty. For your mind, arriving right on the dot feels like a dangerous gamble with your social reputation. You aren't choosing to be early because you enjoy the quietude of a waiting room, you are buying safety for your ego with the currency of your own time. Those 15 minutes are a sacrificial offering to the gods of social approval, intended to ensure that you are never, ever seen as flawed or unreliable. You arrive early because the internal pain of waiting for 15 minutes is significantly easier for you to bear than the excruciating, skin-crawling guilt of making someone else wait for even 60 seconds. This intense psychological pattern rarely appears out of thin air, it usually has its roots buried deep in the soil of your childhood and your early social conditioning. You might have been raised in a household where, if you're on time, you're late, a place where punctuality was not just a habit but a moral virtue, and where being late was treated as a fundamental character flaw or a sign of profound disrespect. In such an environment, the child learns very quickly that their perceived value is tied to their ability to meet or exceed the temporal expectations of authority figures. On the opposite end of the spectrum, perhaps you grew up in an environment of total chaos, where parents were chronically late, schedules were non-existent, and you felt a constant, humiliating sense of being out of sync with the world. In that case, arriving 15 minutes early became your first independent act of rebellion, your way of seizing control over an unpredictable universe and ensuring that you would never again be the person who is left behind or unprepared. Either way, your developing brain locked in a powerful, binary survival pattern, being early equals safety and approval. Being on time or late equals risk and rejection. This is a classic example of a Pavlovian conditioned reflex. Over the decades, the raw, jagged edge of the original fear may have smoothed out into what you now call a habit or discipline, but the underlying mechanism remains the same. You have become a sophisticated hostage to your own defense mechanism. The ultimate, bitter irony here is that by constantly arriving early, you are essentially taxing your own life, spending thousands of hours in a state of suspended animation, waiting in cars, hallways, and lobbies, while the rest of the world is out there actually living, unburdened by the constant pressure of the ticking clock. From a biological perspective, this early bird syndrome is sustained by the constant, high-alert monitoring of your amygdala, the ancient, almond-shaped almond of the brain responsible for the fight-or-flight response. Even though there is no literal predator chasing you, your brain perceives the hypothetical possibility of being late as a genuine threat to your social survival. When you are 10 minutes away from your destination and the clock is ticking toward the deadline, your hypothalamus triggers the HPA axis, resulting in a surge of cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases, your focus narrows, and your body enters a state of high-stress preparation. When you finally walk through that door and sit down 15 minutes early, you experience a massive, sudden drop in these stress hormones. This relief is then followed by a powerful dopamine spike, the brain's way of rewarding you for surviving the threat of lateness. This creates a dangerous biochemical feedback loop. Fear leads to the action of leaving too early, which leads to the relief of arriving early, which results in a dopamine reward. Your brain becomes literally addicted to that moment of relief when you sit down and realize you made it with time to spare. Over time, you may find that you need an even larger buffer, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just to achieve that same sense of psychological safety. What you call discipline is, in many cases, a biochemical dependency on the relief that follows a micro-panic attack. You aren't managing your time, you are managing your hormones by ensuring you never have to face the terrifying threat of a synchronized clock. So, where does that leave us? Is it fear or is it discipline? As we often discover here on Thinking 2.0, the truth is a complex intersection of both, and the answer lies entirely in your level of awareness and choice. Punctuality is a beautiful trait, it is a sign of a high-functioning, respectful, and organized mind. There is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be prepared. The problem arises when the habit becomes a compulsion, when the idea of arriving at exactly 7 p.m. makes you feel physically ill. True discipline is a tool that you pick up when you need it. It's when you choose to arrive early because you genuinely want the quiet time to read or reflect. Fear, however, is a chain that picks you up, it's when you arrive early because you are terrified of the alternative. Your punctuality is a superpower when it serves your goals, but it becomes a form of psychological tyranny the moment you start serving it. Our goal today is to help you move from a state of reactive punctuality to conscious arrival. The next time you find yourself standing outside a door 20 minutes early, try to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself a simple, honest question: am I here because I want to be, or because I'm afraid of what happens if I'm not? Start practicing the late on purpose hack. Try arriving exactly at the scheduled time for a low-stakes event, and observe how the world doesn't actually end. Your value as a human being is not measured by how many minutes you spend waiting in a lobby. Be kind to your amygdala, it's just an old security guard trying to keep you safe from a world that doesn't exist anymore. Protect your boundaries, guard your peace of mind, and learn to enjoy the journey, not just the moment of arrival. If this deep dive into the Clockwatcher's mind hit home for you, subscribe to Thinking 2.0. We're here to help you deconstruct your habits so you can finally stop waiting for life to start and begin living it. Leave a comment below. Are you a 15-minute early veteran or a just-in-time specialist? Let's have a real conversation about our relationship with time. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.